There is no need for them to pull out. You don't sign up and then pull out of the Rome Statute. So there are other groups who are watching to see. We've seen AfriForum, one of the civil society groups as well, a minority interest group, saying they welcome that judgment. So it's not just the DA, but the DA is the most vibrant, well, alongside the EFF now, opposition party. So they stand against that, and they're putting, they're going ahead to push against what the government is trying to do.
Well, Betty, it's also important to know that the court has referred the government back to the parliament for deliberation on this matter. Is the parliament likely to back the government's decision to pull out of the ICC at the end of the day?
Well, the process, because it's been ratified by the parliament and it's been domesticated, is in the statute books of the country, it's only right for the government, the executive, to go through the parliament. I remember raising this issue when it was announced by the Justice Minister, and I asked him, do you think this will sail through Parliament? And he said, let me remind you that we are in the majority in Parliament. So the Parliament will require 2/3 of the vote, but it is a process, and even the process with the ICC, it will still take about a year. But they will have to go through the process of de-ratification, reversing that process of ratification, as well as, if in the case of the domesticated aspect, to either repeal that law or revise it in a way that it will be acceptable to the country.
But what if the parliament decides not to go with the government in terms of leaving the ICC? Just what if? What is likely to happen?
Well, I guess that would, I see a lot more court cases happening, but if they just drag out the process. But it's a constitutional democracy, and then you have a division of the powers. So the parliament has its power, and according to the laws of the country, even when the executive has a right to do the executive notice regarding this, the parliament still has, because it's not just that the Rome Statute, it's been ratified by Parliament, it's been domesticated into the local statute books. So there is a process that it has to go through, which is what the three judges at the Pretoria Court pointed out, that they have to go through the Parliament and not just the executive writing directly.
Now, while we talk about the process, what about the people, the South Africans on the streets? How do they feel about this matter? Are they ready to leave the ICC, or are they wanting to stay? What's the mood of the people?
The people, you have people who just don't care. You have people who insist that African or the leaders, those who have signed up, must stay with it, stay the course, and ensure that there is no impunity, that people are protected in the country. But as I said, regarding today, today that this judgment has happened, it's not exactly making, top headline news, because it's budget day, and in this country, the budget speech presented by the finance minister is taken very seriously. Everybody listens, and it's broken down to see how it affects the people. But I guess we've not heard the last of the ICC issue, and it's a debate that will continue in the country.
So we have our fingers crossed to see how events turn out in the coming days. But our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And in Somalia, the new president, Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, has warned Islamist militants, Al-Shabaab, that they cannot defeat the 12 million citizens of the country. He made the declaration during a speech at his inauguration ceremony, which was held in an airport hangar in the capital, Mogadishu. Mr. Mohamed added that his administration will accept Al-Shabaab recruits if they want to leave the group. The new president also endorsed the presence of African Union troops, saying that they have done a good job. Meanwhile, the president talked about restoring trust to state institutions and tackling the ongoing drought. He also promised to deal with unemployment, which he says has led to hopelessness and caused many young people to flee the country. In attendance at the ceremony were Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta, Ethiopian Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn, and Djibouti President Ismail Omar Guelleh. An ex-spy chief, Yakumba Baji, has been arrested by the Gambia police. Mr. Baji headed an agency rights group alleged to have tortured and killed opponents of former President Yahya Jammeh. He was arrested alongside another former employee of the National Intelligence Agency, a body set up by Yahya Jammeh. The arrest of the first senior Gambian officials since Jammeh went into exile in Equatorial Guinea. Now, the United Nations has warned that some 2 million refugees across Africa are facing critical shortages in food assistance, according to the World Food Programme and the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Refugee operations in 10 African countries have experienced cuts affecting the quantity and quality of food assistance for approximately 2 million refugees.
An ongoing drought in the Horn of Africa region and parts of South Sudan has seen civilians in the country suffer food shortages in recent months, and as a result, health facilities are recording a rise in cases of malnutrition. UN agencies have warned that war and a collapsing economy have left some 100,000 people facing starvation in parts of South Sudan, where famine was declared on Monday, February 20. Oil-rich South Sudan has been mired in civil war since 2013, when President Salva Kiir fired his deputy, Riek Machar. Since then, the fighting has increasingly split the country along ethnic lines. According to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification updates released by the government and other partners, 4.9 million people, more than 40% of South Sudan's population, are in need of urgent food, agriculture and nutrition assistance. Fighting has prevented many farmers from harvesting their crops, while hyperinflation, which reached more than 800% last year, has put the price of imported food beyond the reach of many. As agencies, the humanitarian response in the continent is significantly underfunded. Affected refugee operations have experienced cuts affecting the quantity and quality of food for refugees. Food rations have been dramatically cut in some cases by up to 50% in large operations including Cameroon, Chad, Kenya, Mauritania, South Sudan and Uganda.
Still to come on Network Africa, 2 more students die in demonstrations in Guinea over the ongoing teacher strike. Do stay with us.